It is a fascinating story. When does free speech become hate speech? And I cannot, absolutely, as true as I am speaking these words, I cannot, there's very few things I find more fascinating than this sort of contemporary sort of dilemma we've come across. This is the story of the wife of the Tory councillor who used social media to inflame racial hatred, calling for hotels with asylum seekers in them to be burnt down. She's been jailed for 31 months. 31 months. This is Lucy Connelly from Northampton. She posted on the day of the Southport stabbings. This is back in July. Here's what she said. Mass deportation now. Set fire to all the effing hotels full of the bastards for all I care. If that makes me racist, so be it. The authorities took a very dim view of this. She was hauled down the cop shop, arrested, charged. Yesterday she appeared at Birmingham Crown Court to be told she was going to jail. She had also said on a subsequent WhatsApp message that if I get arrested, I'll play the mental health card. She was already in the jail when she appeared by video link, having pleaded guilty last month. Her husband, Raymond Connolly, who's vice chair of the Adult Social Care Committee with West Northamptonshire Council, watched the proceedings from the public gallery. The judge, a man called Melbourne Inman, KC, said that Connolly was well aware of how volatile the situation was when she made the post hours after the fatal stabbings of 3 schoolgirls. This is July 29th. It was viewed 310,000 times in 3.5 hours before she deleted it. The judge said the volatility led to serious disorder where mindless violence was used. He added that Connolly had encouraged activity that threatened or endangered life. This was clearly a very undesirable state of affairs, to put it rightly. I have no idea what kind of dimwit and probably fairly unpleasant character an adult would want to write, set fire to a hotel with people in it. It doesn't matter what your views are on immigration or anything like that. And I've looked at previous things she said. This is somebody you probably don't want to live next door to. You certainly wouldn't want to call your mum. So I get all of that. But being an idiot, even being a despicable idiot, is not a criminal offence. And this is the problem. When does free speech become hate speech? Now, there's an awful lot. Everybody's become an armchair judge on this one. And it's, by the way, it's no use saying, yeah, but what about, Hugh Edwards? He didn't even go to jail. I agree. Hugh Edwards should have gone to jail, and so should all of the other people who view child sex abuse, because that is what it is. And lots of other people should, but we can't really play that game here, because it's forever been the case. I've lost count in 20, 30 years how many times we've done a discussion. Why did the bank robber in Newcastle not go to jail, but the bank robber in Plymouth did go to jail? These discrepancies are all over the place, and they are always there. And it's frustrating, the lack of consistency. I get it, it's frustrating, but I don't think it's seductive, but I don't think it's strictly relevant to the wider debate on this point here. Because, yes, there are clear-cut cases where you think you would go to jail. This was the sentencing, of course, that came within, and we'll speak to a lawyer in this section. It came at the time when anything or anyone that was connected in any kind of way with what are called the Southport riots found themselves in a very speedy judicial process with harsh sentences being meted out. Now, they are the legal guidelines for sentencing, but on any other day of the week, half the people that have gone to jail would not have gone to jail. Now, we can call this, two-tier Keir and two-tier Just, whatever you like, but it's exactly what happened in 2011. Same thing, people were sentenced to 2 years in jail for nicking a bottle of mineral water out the newsagents. There were all sorts of things that went on. When something that comes under the umbrella of a riot happens, the state, if you like, feel, some would support them, others would be reserved, feel they have a duty to make perhaps a more illuminating point specifically on the issue of riots. So there was that. But it's interesting, the kind of divvying up of opinion on this. John says, there's just a couple of tweets I've seen in this. The sentence is in the context of widespread disorder, violence, looting and arson. Every criminal involved in inciting or participating in that violence got harsher than normal sentences. It's always the case that this happens. The only political thing that happened was that they fast-tracked a bunch of cases through the court as a deterrent to those causing disorder, and it worked. OK. Reem Ibrahim, who often appears on this programme and elsewhere on Talk, says responsibility for those who participated in the riots lies with them and them alone. Speech itself is not and can never be violence. You should not go to prison for 2.5 years for a tweet. Now, when you put it like that, you think, well, that's probably about right, isn't it? You shouldn't go to prison for a tweet. But here's the next point on this. Social media. What validity do we give, what prominence, what status do we give social media in all of this? If this was 15 years ago and it was a couple of characters in what they used to call a chat room, just having a chinwag, the wild west of the internet where most people didn't go, but those that knew these groups existed, whether they were, you know, groups for gamers, whether they were groups for housewives, whether they were groups for builders, they were all over the place, little chat rooms. Back then, I think that argument maybe held some water. Today, the whole status of social media is different. In some respects, it's more powerful than what people call the mainstream media. So does that change things? It doesn't detract from the question, when does free speech become hate speech? 0344 499 1000. And if you believe this woman shouldn't have gone to jail, what should happen to someone who said that on social media? If you said it on a megaphone in the high street, somebody would probably have a word with you. I think you'd get a fine. I don't think you'd go to jail for 31 months for something like that.